And now we move to the last knowledge session of this conclave, enabling space for common man. India's rising capabilities as a spacefaring nation is getting strong global recognition, with India having a high percentage of startups in the space sector globally. Increasing interest of Indian private sector is fueling the capability and capacity building in all critical and essential areas of space technology. The key focus areas include launch vehicles, Earth observation, PNT, communications, and SSA, multidisciplinary space technology solutions leveraging the geospatial artificial intelligence applications are likely to lead the disruption in areas such as transportation, teleeducation, telemedicine, weather, climate change impact, disaster management, insurance, natural resource mapping and planning, satellite-aided navigation, infrastructure development, utility services, etc., to name a few. India, with its huge demographic size, offers the perfect test bed for techno-business innovation to serve global needs. The panel discussion will aim to focus at deliberating on how benefits of space technology can be made to serve the common man with sustainable business models. I would like to call upon Mr. Rohan Verma, CEO, MapmyIndia, to please come up. He is the moderator of this session. I would now like to call upon our speakers one by one. Mr. Sudheer Kumar, N., Director, CPBO, ISRO. Dr. Vinod Kumar, Director, Promotion Directorate in Space, Department of Space. Mr. Sunil Indurati, Director, Azista BST Aerospace. Mr. Dheeraj Mehra, Founder and CEO, Micronet Solutions, Airbus. Mr. Rajesh Muneshwaran, Vice President, Space Technology, Dynaspede Enabletech Private Limited. And the chairperson of this session, Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, former Chairman ISRO and Secretary, Department of Science. Can I have a round of applause, please, for the chairperson, moderator, and panelists? I hand over the session to you.
Good evening, everybody. I know we're at the last panel, but it's actually very, very interesting panel. We have a mix of the stalwarts from the government as well as the industry. And actually, it's our privilege and pleasure to have the chairperson, such an honorable chairperson, Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar. He's the former chairman, ISRO, and Secretary, Department of Space. He's now the Vikram Sarabhai Professor at ISRO and also a member of the Space Commission, Government of India. And of course, from 2015 to 18, he served as a Secretary, Department of Space and Chairman of ISRO. And we owe a lot of our gratitude as MapmyIndia to serve during your tenure to give us the guidance. Of course, he's a luminary in this space. And most importantly, we are looking forward to your speech, sir, to set the tone for the panel. Following which, of course, I'll introduce the panelists and seek their points of view on how to enable space for the common man. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank ISpA for providing this opportunity to share some of the thoughts on how things are going. Now, as we are all very clear, space is for common man is the basis on which India started its space activity, with Dr. Sarabhai looking at what we are all familiar today, disruptive technology making changes in society. At that point of time in the early 60s, who would have thought of bringing to India, which was a fledgling democracy of just 10 years, a most advanced technology, two superpowers fighting with each other, bringing in such a technology for the benefit of the common man. And it is that actually foresight which has provided India today a position where it's among the few countries in the world which has an end-to-end capability. while last few decades all this has happened, India has made use of its own, developed its own technology, launch vehicles, satellites, applications and all that. World has moved ahead quite quickly. Today, it is no longer the domain of only the countries or the nation states to work in space. Space is being now actually dealt with by private enterprises, which are bringing in not only lot of money, but also the speed and dynamism with which they are acting. They are forcing the governments to change their approach of this. And another thing that's also happening is space is also being the fourth frontier, is also the man is looking at space, both for space and space for Earth. But today we are here looking at how ISpA can really make a difference to the technological capability that very few countries in the world have in space, how to make use of it, and how to bring in more and more solutions to the common man through entities, primarily I would say other than the government, because all said and done, the government has limited resources, and what it can bring is always has to be shared with many other top priority activities. So that is where if the private enterprise can actually get in, and that's what people like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos and others have shown. And also what other countries have shown is those countries which do not have any space activity are providing licenses to the enterprises for conducting the business, whether it is for space exploitation or space tourism, space travel, a host of things. So today we have among us here people who are actually in the process of providing solutions to the common man. And today if you look at what is required is how can we make use of what is available from the government sector, and how quickly we can bring in the new concepts of space where everything becomes a service, and providing to the user only the service without worrying about actually the trouble or the infrastructure of building systems, putting it in orbit and owning it, or being worried about what you can say is destruction or space security. Leaving many of these to other entities which can handle how private enterprise can make use of these services and what kind of services they can provide. And in this, the opportunity is tremendous. And we are seeing already, like as was pointed out, that many enterprises are coming up and looking at solutions. And here probably just I'll touch upon two topics before I complete my statement. The startups by their very nature cannot be getting into the entire business of doing their activity from space. But then if startups start looking like that, then they will become too much bogged down. But then who is going to support them? Today venture capitalists, how much support they will give them is again limited. Very soon we need to have mechanisms where the other industries who have been already in the space business, how they can actually support, not exactly support, but make use of development that is happening in the startup, and either taking over what development they have done and provide the monetary benefit to the startup. That way the ecosystem can grow. So one of the key things that we need to look at is how today's established mechanisms in the country can actually support startups and leave the startups to look at very small segment of the problem and worry about the innovation there rather than worrying about the entire space technology. And this is where I think ISpA has a big role to play. And if ISpA can figure out mechanisms, we will definitely have more discussions on this, how we can support startups and eliminate from their requirement of worrying about actually space. Thank you.
Thank you for those wonderful words. So I think that sets a tone for the panel as well. I'd like to introduce the rest of the panels one by one, so that and then start with questions. So starting with Shri Sudheer Kumar, and he's the director CBPO at ISRO headquarters. And before ISRO, actually, he was with Tata Steel and then was associated with McKinsey and Booz Allen and Hamilton. So I think a very, very, very good perspective that you have from the industry side also, sir. And then in ISRO, he was a core team member for realizing LVM-3 facilities at SDS-C Shar, and then was in charge of the second vehicle assembly building project, the largest rocket integration facility of ISRO, and also was a vendor manager for last 20 years. So he's responsible for capacity building in the areas of research and academia, as well as many other things at ISRO. So thank you, sir, for coming. I'd like to then introduce Dr. Vinod Kumar. He's the Director for Promotion Directorate in Space. I think as industry, we've all been excited about the forming of InSpace, and Dr. Vinod Kumar before InSpace was heading the Geo Control Dynamics Design Division and working as Deputy Project Director Attitude and Orbit Control Systems at URSC in Bangalore. And he's also working as the Executive Secretary for the Aeronautical Society of India, and he's an alumnus of IIT Bombay. I think we are very much looking forward to the InSpace perspective, sir, and thank you for being here. Then there's Shri Sunil Indurati of Azista Industries and Berlin Space Technologies. He's one of the visionaries behind ABA, Azista BST Aerospace, and his goal is to bring about the Henry Ford moment for space. So we're very much looking forward to hearing what is the Henry Ford moment for space and learning about your satellites. Then we have Shri Rajesh Muneshwar, sorry for that. He's a VP for Space Technology at Dynaspede, Enabletech Private Limited. He's a rocket propulsion scientist and launch vehicle design engineer at Dynaspede and has 15 years of experience in this space. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you on this. Dr. VK Rai, he represents, he's a scientist and project head at DST. We'll talk a lot about TDB. I've had the pleasure of attending events organized by Technology Development Board, and really it's a fantastic showcase and springboard for new innovations, new technologies, and new startups. Dr. VK Rai is a fellow institution of engineers and a chartered engineer. He's an alumnus of NDA, IIT Kharagpur, and IIM Ahmedabad. He's also a recipient of medal and citation by the Indian National Academy of Engineering. So look forward to, sir, your perspectives. And finally, we have Shri Dheeraj Mehra. He's the founder and CEO of Micronet Solutions, Airbus. And he founded the company 2 decades ago with a small team focused on data conversion and image processing. He has experience of working closely with ISRO over the last 20 years and has specialties around geospatial, cadastral, parcel mapping, 3D mapping, and of course, Earth observation data. So with that, introduction, I'd like to kind of start with some questions. So first to Shri Sudheer Kumar, sir, if you can share with us from ISRO's perspective, what is your vision for the ecosystem? How do you see the ecosystem shaping up? And if at some stage you can also talk about Navik, a very important aspect for India's Atmanirbharta, Earth observation, which is kind of the two combined lead to maps and applications. So Earth observation satellites and then launch vehicles. So, sir, two-part question. One is your vision for the ecosystem, and then, what are the key things ISRO is doing and driving for adoption of indigenous Navik, Earth observation, and launch vehicles?
Thank you, Rohan. Take permission from Kiran, sir, because in front of seniors talking requires a really courage. See, today, across all the conferences, wherever I go, probably the buzzword is innovation, startup, capacity building. Today in India, capacity building, as far as it is concerned, I think fairly it has come to a shape where it has to start multiplying, started reaping the benefits. What is the ecosystem that is required? Because it's a leapfrogging. When you land on one stage, probably that stage has to be matured, and we should pick up, gather the masses in that stage, go to the next stage. If that is the kind of approach anybody sustainability will be ensured. Today, the space technology, thanks to ISRO for 6 decades, lot of indigenization has happened, lot of technology development has happened, lot of ecosystem has been created in terms of their industry or let us say human resources. Lot of students are coming forward towards getting attracted to the space technologies and developing the let's say their own self-entrepreneurship or their own let us say industries. But the question is sustainability. Anybody who comes to me, he asks me only one thing: where is market? I have good let us say technology, whatever the best technology that he has. Probably I think it is a feedback loop. Based on the demand and supply graph, he will improve. But today, having reached a technology, where is market for me? But fortunately and unfortunately, I should use the both words because it is a balance between these two. Most of the communication, a previous panel you were discussing, mostly it is user driven. Because each and every person who is having one mobile is a user for the entire, let us say, ecosystem. If it comes to the earth observation, where huge amount of resources are there, where social life depends on more on the system, who is the ultimate user? This question has asked me both by corporates as well as startups, as well as NGOs, as well as people like Butsap. Who is the user? So user, majority of the purpose you take, let us say agriculture. Again, a farmer is the user, but farmer cannot be reached. Again, it through a government process. A forest, again government. Road transport, traffic management, water resource management, everywhere the users. Now we are thinking only, I am just leaving whatever the small audience in the last session it is. Probably they are the best audience because they are very keen to observe till the end. I leave it to them only one thing, because today we are thinking bring the privatization for, there is a sink and there is a source. In the source point of, in the manufacturing, in the development you are bringing, you are expecting the private people should come. Why not in the user segment? Why not a forest can become a commercialized forest market? Why not agriculture can become a commercialized for private, let us say, market, so that users will start looking into the innovation for either value chain analysis and improvisation, supply chain analysis and improvisation. If such kind of things comes, then only the sustainability users, because why today a private sector has to come into the space region? Why? What is the question? Because of several reasons. Government has their own procedures, policies. They take pretty long time, because the ease of doing process is not so easy, because it goes through a bureaucratic process of approval. Frankly, let us be frank in talking. Let us not think of what we are talking. Let us think of what is the how we are talking and what is the concept spirit behind it. So that is why privatization, when they come, a startup as a CEO sitting maybe 25 year or 26 year, he can take decisions pretty fast. So why not the users for the agriculture, for the forest, for the water resources, for the fisheries, for the surface transport, for the aviation transport, why not a private users will start looking into the business as a business? That is one thing. This is not being talked today. This is being talked maybe decades back. That's how Zomato, that's how the Fresh, Amazon Fresh, there's Reliance Fresh, they have all come into picture. So as long as this ecosystem is taken not only in the manufacturing front or resource creation front, resource consumption front also, if good number of corporates or whatever the things are, innovation thing goes on, it will not go into sustain, because it takes a pretty long time for sustainability. Then as far as earth observations, as Rohan was asking, definitely he is the person who is doing a lot of innovations and parting with ISRO. Such kind of innovation things have to come today to use the various kinds of data and disseminating the data on open platforms, making it available for users, whoever wants it. There should not be a restriction. If and but should be there to attract the data. The moment the data is required by a person, whatever the resolution it is, it should be available like a small payment gateway. If he wants make a payment like IRCTC, he should download the data. Such kind of innovations have to come irrespective of the let us say, whatever the government should see that how to protect the data for the nation's interest. That is a government responsibility. But making the data available across all the platform, whether it is SAR, whether it is multispectral, whether it is anything is, it should be available. So that is the kind of policies are being talked about, but the enabling mechanism, still policy comes, I will wait. That approach should be taken away and some reasonable things should come out. Navigation is one area, it is a very vast, it is only a nascent, a baby. If you take navigation with EO applications, navigation with, let us say, communication, it creates amazing results, which you cannot, it is not even linear graph, it is an exponential graph, one it will take. But in the navigation, reasonably, let us say, innovation challenges are being thrown, but still people from IITs, from, let us say, institutions, they should think how actually best put it into use the technologies. And ISRO is very open to have any joint collaborations, especially on the navigation. You have to come forward, be vertical, fair, and be frank in asking, demanding the, let us say, some kind of services from ISRO. Don't shy away. Don't, let us say, hesitate in asking questions. Oh, they are government. I may get, let us say, fired. I may get, let us say, given a different treatment. Please approach that mode, demandive mode. With all these things, I think ecosystem should, because now ISRO after transformation is very positive. Not earlier like that, because some policies were there. Now as the government directions are giving, we have opened the doors, please get into the doors and occupy seats, demand and get whatever you want, and let us grow together. Thank you.
Very well said, sir. And I must say, Navik is a phenomenal technology. I think people don't realize it, what India has built in terms of the positioning technology, and it's very good that more people will adopt it. Now, a set of questions to Dr. Vinod Kumar, sir. If you can talk a little bit about InSpace's plans to support the indigenous space tech companies and startups, so that we can give indigenous solutions to the common man. And you can maybe talk about the InSpace digital platform. I think this is something new that has come up, and how it helps the common public or startups, and also how IDP, InSpace digital platform, will help academia. So yeah, so.
Thank you, Rohan. Respected Kiran sir, General WhatsApp. First of all, thank you for inviting to be panelist at this prestigious conclave. Greetings for InSpace anniversary. As far as InSpace is concerned, yes, it's a really novel concept which has come. The government's role is basically to act as an enabler, to act as a promoter, to act as authorizer, and to act as a supervisor. To integrate all these four roles, we have developed a single window platform, that is, we call it InSpace digital platform. You see, we enabled it within 1.5 months of inauguration by the Prime Minister. We also had some hurdles of purchasing that and doing all these things. In spite of this, we were also determined that there is a demand from industry, and we developed it. So any private industry, anyone, academia, private industry, you want to do space business, anything, please go to www.idspace.gov.in. It has all the four functions which I have described. You are an academician, you can register there. You will get all help which you want. You are an industry, what you want to do with the InSpace. You want to work in launch vehicle, you want to work in satellite building, you want the orbital slot, you want a technology transfer from ISRO, or you want to use the facilities of ISRO. Please go there, give your requirements. I see the very positive trends there. There was around 97 proposals till 16 October. After that, within roughly 2 months, we have received 48 plus proposals there. 205 academia industry had registered there. So you see the positive impact. This is the power of enabling. And I see the government is very positive towards this. It should be implemented. We have the support from the top. And they really were out of way. They were, yes, go ahead, do this. And it is being monitored. You know, the moment you register your proposal, you get a number with date and time stamped on this, and it is tracked. You will get regular updates, and chairman in space himself sees that if there is some delay in any proposal, why it is. So what happens when industry comes there? They need various kind. They are very novice industry. They will, of course, they will come. We want to do this. Yes, please join with us. We'll discuss with them, and we will transfer them expert advice. We have a database. Around 500 experts from ISRO are already with us, and anyone who wants, we connect them directly. Please have your discussion advice from them, and then come back again. So this is the kind of approach which we are doing. The another which unique feature we thought we should have is industry database, because it's not necessary that you overload ISRO. ISRO may have its own priority. So what we are doing, we are collecting the database of industry also, and we are curating it also, because people may claim higher. So that database also will be part of the InSpace, wherein we will connect you to the industry. Then again, there is a one discussion forum, feedback forum. So there are everything at a single place you will find. Now to enable the common man, this is the one part of enabling. The second part comes that now there was a discussion in this board meeting that we should provide some seed money to the common man who has the idea. If you have an idea of birth, we are there to support you. So to start with, we are working the guideline, and shortly it will also get implemented. So there are more to it, and please be connected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think this is great news that people can engage directly with InSpace and get connected to people, experts, resources, facilities. I think that's what, like was said in the morning, India has incredible talent, human capital, but these facilities, equipment, software, capex, I think that can tend to be scary for entrepreneurs looking to get into deep tech. But if InSpace can really enable that, and ISRO, of course, has done this over 50, 60 years, so I think we will see the power of Indian innovation really get accelerated. I'd like to ask Dr. VK Rai, if you can talk about, before I get to the industry members, tell us a little bit about Technology Development Board and what role DST as well as TDB has been playing and contributing towards the space sector, promoting the space sector and making its benefits accessible to citizens. I think this is something people may not know but would really appreciate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rohan, for the question. At the outset, I would like to thank Janal Bhatt and his team, InSpace team, for having brought all the stakeholders, all the concerned people at one forum, where the queries of startups, young entrepreneurs, and especially those who are trying to get into the deep tech sector, space sector like space, where their queries can be directly answered by the stakeholders themselves. So having said that, I would like to inform about a little bit about Technology Development Board. It's a statutory body formed by the Government of India under Act of Parliament. It's under DST, Ministry of Science and Technology. And the primary role is to fund indigenous technologies which are on the verge of commercialization of their product. So with that, of course, space is a very, very new sector for us. And that I'm saying from the perspective of the applicants who've been seeking funding support from the Technology Development Board or DST. But like Dr. Kiran Kumar initially said, that is not at a fledgling stage right now. People are looking up to India for affordable solutions, affordable launch vehicles, and in space sector especially, our country is being looked upon by many, many developed nations for affordable solutions. So with that being one of the enablers from the government side, we are also not lagging behind. We are trying to scout maximum participation from startups and companies who are working in this sector as well. So there are threefold initiatives that we are doing. One is a regular call for proposal, which is available 24/7 on our website, tdb.gov.in, where we seek companies and startups who are indigenous and who want to commercialize their product. And we want them to apply under TDB for its funding support. The other aspect that we are also supporting is through specific call for proposals. So now we are seeing that the space sector is growing and there is a lot of demand in academia as well as corporate, where they are trying to promote space sector and they are trying to leverage this support which is given by being given by ISRO and other government agencies to promote this sector. So we are also continuing with that, and we are trying to support this particular sector. And we had given a specific call for proposal for space sector, which was there live on our website for about 2 months. It's just been closed, and we are quite happy to inform that number of companies have applied for financial support under their specific call for proposal. So this specific call for proposal is slightly different from the regular one, which is available 24/7, where in this specific call, we try to have an expeditious manner in which we do the screening and thereafter visiting the site of the startups or the companies and assessing their papers, and thereafter clearing the funding support that can be given to them. Another thing that we have also tried to leverage this bubble that is now getting created, that buzz which is happening in this sector. We've also have national awards which is conducted every year, handled by Technology Development Board, National Technology Award, which is given on 11th May every year. And through that, we have been supporting the startups and companies who are making very, very niche technologies and niche contribution to our society. In terms of technology, we are sector agnostic. It could be space, agri, medical sector, defense, aerospace, name a sector, and it's all under the ambit of national awards, national technology awards. And in fact, one of the space sector companies, Skyroot, was given the award this year. The award carries 25 lakhs or 15 lakhs cash award and a trophy. And usually, Honorable President of India or the Prime Minister is the chief guest for these events. So I think from government side, as enabling agency for this particular upcoming sector, there is a lot of impetus from the government to enable these young entrepreneurs to sort of leverage the financial support that can be given by the government. And at the same time, I'm privy to the initiative by InSpace as well as ISRO, the kind of support that they've been extending to the startups in terms of reach and in terms of making themselves accessible, every aspect of them, making it accessible to the startups and to the companies to communicate. So I think space has a very bright future. There are a number of things which have been already spoken to regarding the space sector. We also have opportunity, even avalanche predictions, weather forecast, everything. Now it is the need of a common man today that this sector be leveraged to provide opportunity to common man, be it agriculture sector. We just heard panelists talking about that it has become the need for every common man today. And therefore, we would love to have the startups and young entrepreneurs applying to us, reaching to us, and reaching out for seeking financial support from the government. And we are really thankful to the initiatives of the government trying to provide very, very specific financial support to the companies through these kind of channels. And we'll be happy to support these startups in future.
Dr. V.K. Rai. I'd like to move on to Rajesh Muneshwaran of Dynaspede. I think you're going to talk a little bit about launch vehicles and microgravity manufacturing. So tell us a little bit about Dynaspede and tell us about how that's linked to eventually to the common man.
First of all, thank you everyone. Special thanks to Indian Space Association for providing us this opportunity and this forum. Yes, Dynaspede Enabletech Private Limited is a joint venture between Dynaspede and Enabletech. We are basically technology enabler, implementer, and end user producer. Dynaspede and Enabletech, we have 43 years of production experience, and we are at core a team of armed forces veterans and scientific community. Gentlemen, all this throughout the day, our discussion panelists, all our sessions have been focused on subject of space and its benefits, advantages to the, of course, common man. And this is a core subject which is put in place. So coming to this subject of the matter, we have been discussing on IT solutions, data solutions, spatial data solutions, natural resources management. We spoke everything. But as Dr. Kiran Kumar has pointed out, ISRO has also started a space program with the main mission and vision to benefit the space program to the common man. Now here comes to the solution is the microgravity research opportunities. Microgravity is a research tool that could bring innovative solutions in pharmaceutical industry, develop new oncological medicines, especially the cancer treatment medicines for the common man. It could develop new biological solutions. Every problem research solutions investigation in space in microgravity could bring solutions to the everyday problem on Earth. For example, scientist community has developed rapid process of semiconductor chip material manufacturing in space. As you are all aware, semiconductor manufacturing industry is a $700 billion industry. How much percentage of share Indian industry occupies today? We have to think. There have been more than 30 patents of microgravity research solutions has come up today in just last 25 years. How many research patents or proposal have been submitted to the Department of Science and Technology or have been investigated by CSR labs in India? Still is a question. I really feel my country, India, should not lag behind in microgravity research solution that could essentially bring largest benefit to the common man in the 21st century. So launch vehicle solutions, both orbital and suborbital, can bring substantially important benefits to the common man by launching your microgravity payload experiment into space. Microgravity application and functions of using orbital and suborbital rocket launch vehicle is a less risky, time proven, and highly scientific technology enabler both for applied sciences, both for pure science communities. So at Dynaspede Enabletech, we have developed SOSR 450 suborbital rocket that takes 80 kg of payload. It can carry microgravity functionable micro furnace that could fuse two materials. It can melt and fuse gold and produce purest form of 24 karat gold. It can also produce Zebulon, ZBLN, Zebulon exotic optical fiber, a very high, very expensive exotic optical fiber, and very good solutions for 5G and IoT based solutions, and it could bring good return on investment for the space program. So as Sudheer Kumar just were answering to the question of end users. So this is a new range of end users emerging in the 21st century, which are pharmaceutical industry, space biology industries, and our orbital and suborbital rocket launch vehicle solutions are giving high value returns to the end users and common man. The another latest advanced frontier of orbital launch solution is a point-to-point suborbital fast space transportation for the civilians. This is something ISRO, Elon Musk starships are looking forward to. I think we Indians should also think about in next 10 to 20 years, our orbital launch solutions could bring point-to-point space transportation solutions. So at the putting end to this microgravity research applications of our orbital and suborbital rockets, I would encourage scientific research community, academia, semiconductor industry, pharmaceutical industry, especially pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because it is every year more than $90 billion are invested in only the contractual research organizations, which basically conducts research experiments for the medicine testings, and their risk to successful value to success ratio is still lower side. So using rocket suborbital payloads and orbital payloads for the application of medicine testing can bring high success ratio to them and still justifies the high cost of this rocket launch program. Third, there is a concept of recoverable satellites. Very recently, our neighboring country, China and other counterparts have been developing and they have successfully demonstrated recoverable satellites. Recoverable satellites again for the microgravity research community. So in near future, our orbital rocket launch vehicles are enabled to deploy recoverable satellites of 400 kg to 700 kg to the intermediate orbit of 1000 km in the altitude. So we appeal and request research community, satellite community to take some initiatives in microgravity research program, which could be implemented in a cost-effective manner from Indian territory with the help of our orbital and suborbital rocket launch vehicle. Thank you.
Dheeraj, you've been in this industry for 20 years, so would you like to kind of talk about the new age space versus what used to happen earlier and kind of what challenges you see as well as what opportunities you see?
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, ISpA, Chairman, sir. So yes, been around this industry in the Earth observation sector for maybe 2.5 decades. So we started with all the ISRO centers where when we used to go to their office and there was a satellite image on the screen, immediately that was withdrawn and we were not allowed to even look at the satellite image. From there to here is a huge, huge transformation, sir. So of course, thanks to ISRO, they have really helped the industry to come up with, by enabling the governments to use this space technology. Having said that, still there are a lot of challenges. Mr. Sudheer spoke regarding the users, the demand, and demand and supply. So I would like to highlight a little on that demand and supply. In terms of potential demand in the country, there is a huge, huge, huge potential. I mean, that's what excites all of us, that there is money there. And that is why industry are wanting to jump into that bandwagon to fill this potential demand. However, the actual demand is not picked up. So that is where the huge challenge is. If you ask me, in terms of supply and demand, we have excess supply and there is no demand. So we have multiple constellations of satellites coming up. We have huge number of startups coming up, launching into systems. But simply put, I am a sales guy, okay? I go to different departments, go to every different technology space, applications, industry, and I talk to them. There is no demand, sir. There is absolute, unless ISRO has also been struggling. They have been propagating a lot of applications to these. See, Earth observation, we are managing land. It's a land administration thing. And the major land in administration is done by the government. So 90% of our users are primarily government. And then those efforts that government take do reflect to the benefit of the common man. Either it is a farmer or an agriculturist, or when we are looking at disaster management application and so on. So there are hundreds and thousands of applications that we can think of. But the thing is, there is the challenge here is that the guidelines are in place. NATMO has, the National Disaster, NDMA has published entire booklet for disaster management, how it has to be done. Ministry of Rural Development, they have issued guidelines as to using remote sensing, how they have to do the drought prediction, drought trigger, and so that the state governments can pre-inform or develop the actual compensation to the farmers using remote sensing technology. But sir, when we go to the states, either I talk to the secretary or the chief secretary or head of the department organization, they say they don't have funds, nor there is a will to invest funds in that. So the guidelines of the space policy or the geospatial policy, I will request ISRO and InSpace to take lead in that maybe you make it mandatory for state governments, specifically state government, because that's, I'm talking the civil side specifically, because that's a huge market. In my opinion, it is bigger than the defense market. So instead of looking just at the policies, they should be made mandatory. That let's say you should have a state digital archive policy, wherein you choose a particular resolution, a particular sensor or whatever, and generate a digital archive, because many decisions of the state governments are in retrospective effect. So, and also this brings huge transparency, and nobody wants that, sir. I mean, I'm being very blunt here. So these are the challenges. And also one of the major constraint in the potential demand to the actual demand. See, there are a lot of private players also wanting data and services as well. Now, if tomorrow L&T or Airtel wants 50 centimeter resolution data, sir, for their in-house consumption, or they want to build those apps, or they want to use that data in-house, I don't know somehow what. I mean, of course, NRSC, I respect them. They have done a lot of things, and recently they have opened up. I mean, NRC now anymore doesn't purchase data from us. I mean, they have opened up, they have published some standard operating procedures. So now the vendor, the government department can come to us directly, float a tender, we bid into it, and whoever wins the contract, that's okay. But still, sir, they need permission from NRC. That whether they want to, they can buy the data or not. So that permission thing has to go away, one. Two, private industry, sir, if a 50, see the market is driven, the resolution and the capacity is driven by the need of the application, sir. So let's say L&T or Airtel wants 30 centimeter resolution data for 5G planning. They want 3D city models. They can't buy it themselves, sir, because I don't know, some of what it's not mentioned in the policy, but still NRC says that no, you can't sell it to the private player. So that is huge impediment in the demand creation, sir. I mean, potential demand is there. Tata is looking for these kind of data set. Every 5G telecom operator, Reliance. But Adani is also looking for, so much data. But these are big players who have a lot of cash reserves which could, really pull the demand. But I'm not allowed to sell that. I mean, that's a huge challenge if, sir, InSpace can maybe probably look into that. I mean, security, I understand, sir. Security, 30 centimeter satellite imagery, yes, of course, yeah. But at least, sir, allow them to give it to them. You vet it through NRC. Let the security vetting be done. Sir. Sir. Sure, sir, I hope. I mean, of course. Sure, sir. So I think that is the challenge that we and the Earth observation industry are facing. See, any map, I think Rohan will agree with me on that. If it's an old map, it is useless for the, for the kind of real-time applications that we have. So map updation is a huge, our government maps, sir, city survey map, cadastral maps, they're 70 years old, come on. I mean, don't we have the capability, sir? We can just take a high resolution satellite image, overlay a city survey map or a Khasra map over it and update them there and there. It's just that, of course, there are some legal implications of it, but okay, fine, there'll be 2% problem, but 98% problem is solved. Judiciary will be free, sir. Most of the 90% problems are little to land. So if these things, these initiatives and mandatory updation of maps can be made for every state government, I think that demand will be generated, and a lot of ecosystem, lot of startups will emerge, because we are here today, sir, because ISRO took a step to outsource their maybe just simple map conversion services. And many of the big companies today in geospatial domain, they started with simple map digitization exercises. That's how we learned the technology. So government help will be highly appreciated in that, and no big group, either it's a Birla, Tata, Ambani or Adani, has survived without the government support. So we also would request that demand be created by making, instead of guidelines, make those state governments mandatory that map updation and use of space technology is essential. I think our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, had also written a letter to all the chief secretaries maybe 3-4 years back, that what is the, what space technology are using in day-to-day administration. With that, sir, thank you. Rest my case.
I think you wanted to respond to that a little bit, or?
Yeah. See, basically, the moment space policy comes, which is coming, when it is very shortly, this 99.99% questions will go. Yes, we have discussed it in details, and things are in place. Up to 30 centimeter you will get, but payment is anyway there. 5 meter is free. So things are in place. You can start applying to InSpace, so that whoever wants data, so they can start applying, and as soon as policy comes, we will release it. There is no problem. And I think MapmyIndia should answer this much more, because because they are developing very nice website, I understand. One more thing I said, that today's my experience also, earlier also, that Google, I think you can simply dump. So MapmyIndia has the challenge, because it will take you somewhere and you will keep rotating. It has happened with me yesterday in Delhi, it forgets. And same thing happened today morning. It took some route, we got stuck in a village. So I think you have a lot of things to do for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, our experience, to be honest, with ISRO has been just phenomenal. Working together with Bhuvan, with Vedas, with NRSC, with the Navik teams, to bring the benefits of Bhuvan and Vedas imagery, sir, to the common man, and to provide the map APIs back to ISRO so that Bhuvan can be strengthened. Even now, the real-time voice navigation service to Bhuvan. We think that indigenous solutions are definitely much up there compared to the foreign ones. And with Navik working on the fisherman app, Dr. Kiran Kumar, you remember you had guided us. I mean, that's a phenomenal representation of what Navik can do, which GPS cannot do, which is give the fishermen the cyclone alert out where there's no cellular connectivity, and also tell them potential fishing zones. And so I'd encourage people to go on the Play Store and search for Navik as an app. You'll see it's something jointly made by ISRO and MapmyIndia. So yeah, a lot of good work is happening, and Dr. Vinod Kumar, thanks for telling people to dump the Google Maps app. Sunil, you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing with Azista? I think it's a very exciting space, what you're doing with the satellites. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So we are Azista BST Aerospace. We are a joint venture between Berlin Space Technologies and Azista Industries. So joint venture to mass produce microsatellites. So what is special about us is that we are vertically integrated. We manufacture about 75% of our subsystems in-house. So starting from all the building blocks of the bus to some of the payloads as well are completely built in-house in our Ahmedabad facility. And we house all the environmental test facilities in-house. So the reason we did this is to enable us to mass produce for constellations of remote sensing satellites. So yeah, I mean, coming to the today's topic, what I feel is that you don't need a lot of these mass manufacturers. I mean, there are already a number of them globally who are probably already way ahead and then operating some of their own constellations. What is actually needed is users on the application front, who could utilize the data that is actually coming out into the market. So, I mean, couple of things I'd like to touch upon. One is, of course, the amount of data that is coming out. Around 7-8 years ago, apart from Planet and Maxar, you probably didn't have, many commercial satellite operators that are providing data. But today, across various payloads, hyperspectral, IR, and then SAR, you have multiple players providing a lot of data. So what this means is that, the price of data is going to come down. The quantum of data that is going to be available is going to increase massively, which the market forces will obviously determine the course now. That is, the price has to come down, right? That means what happens when the prices come down is that it enables or it opens up a lot of civilian applications that until now were, for which the data prices were prohibitively very expensive. Let's say SAR data is still very expensive today, but I think 5 years or 8 years from now, you will have very affordable SAR data that enables certain civilian applications. So what is very, very important, I think, as of today is to focus on the applications, and the users, I mean, the ones who build these applications need not necessarily be space engineers. In fact, they should not be. From my experience, what I've seen is that the ones who understand the ground reality are the ones who are working in those specific sectors. People who are working in commodity trading, they understand the problems, that I think that's where one has to start, and then use the data from space as just one more source of data, to generate your analysis, right? And then enable you to do something much more efficiently or faster, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, for example, I could tell you that, if you want to basically monitor how, let's say, steel or coal is being produced, okay, so you could use some SWIR data and then perform your commodity trade. I mean, give analytics and insights much earlier than, what the market would give you, right? That's an information arbitrage that you're creating over there. And that immediately means you're creating value to the common man, right? So, or whoever is willing to pay for it. So that way, I think the users of all these data that is coming out from various constellations, not just one source of, one data set like IR, I'm saying you could even fuse data from multiple sensors, right? I mean, that could again create new insights. So I think it's just boundless. The number of applications that are possible, I can't even imagine. The key is with users, right? Yeah.
Are there any questions from the audience? Would love, and all the panelists feel free to kind of make any counter comments if you have.
Hello.
But I'll let the audience ask some questions.
Good evening. My name is Ravi, and I'm an entrepreneur trying to build rockets to put the satellite into the orbit. I don't have any particular question to ask, but I have some views to put forth, very small views. I do not want to miss this opportunity to express my views. I want to discuss about two things. One is about culture, and other is about vision. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was, though he used to work in DRDO defense, he was a very spiritual person. But he never expressed his spirituality for some reason. For some or other reason, he never expressed the spirituality. But we are Indian, and our basic nature is spirituality. And what do we say? Britishers ruled our country for many centuries. They came in 1600s as a East India Company. 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s. For many centuries, we adopted their way of lifestyle, and we forgot our religion. When I talk about the religion, I'm not talking about particular religion like Hindu religion or Muslim religion or Sikh or like that. What I'm saying is about practicing the peace, compassion, goodwill, and harmony in the office environment. That is our individuality. We should not forget that. And for that, we need to bring like monks and saints into the office environment. Like that is the culture I dream about. So we say Atma Nirbhar, right? Atma means spirit. So we need to bring that kind of spiritual activities in our office culture. That is one thing. And the second thing was about vision. Like USA, when I just compare USA to India, USA is very bold in dreaming and visioning, and they discuss about visions lot of the time, and they just they take it head on and execute the plans. But in India, what happens is that we just we get into the attention to detail so much that we forget about the vision and mission. We need to adopt that way of lifestyle, and we need to 80% of the time we need to discuss about the vision and missions, and attention to details are also important, but that need to be passed through that vision and missions. And we need to keep on discussing in even brainstorming sessions again and again whenever possible about the vision and mission. Like other day I was listening to Lieutenant General Bhatt sir talking about the vision 2047. In that he brings very beautiful things about like how the USA had a dream about 2060. What they want to do. They said that many of the he was discussing about the lower bounds and the upper bounds. In the upper bounds, he was telling about how the many countries will be coming together, and many of the people would be going to the low Earth orbit and doing the experiments there. And that is very beautiful thing. But I want to say that we should, like that we need to be very bold, and we need to discuss vision and mission, and we need to take the failures as a stepping stones, and we need to keep moving forward. This is very important.
Great, good.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Yeah. Does somebody have any question? Okay, yeah. And then after that, I'll ask Dr. Kiran Kumar to summarize the session, if that's okay, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to the esteemed panelists. Sir, one of the things I see is when we look at a NAVIC chipset adoption, and a smartphone has to be aligned to NAVIC chipset, that restricts the number of users who buy the smartphone, because whether we like it or not, GPS is the most widely used. If there's a way that we could use a multi-genesis chipset where NAVIC plus others are there, and we have a switch on, switch off option, that means when a user picks up a smartphone, they have a NAVIC and a GPS or others aligned in the same thing. Is there a possibility that you
even today there are mobiles which have NAVIC enabled features and also have GPS. So anyway, the world is moving with multi-sources, whether it is USS, GPS or GLONASS, Galileo, BEDO, whatever is commercial market will adopt what is available and use it. The only point what is being said is, see, you should not say only they are available, you don't use NAVIC. That is being prevented. So you have to have NAVIC in your system beyond some point that all the mobiles should have. See, like for example, I'll give you a simple, like what MapmyIndia is trying to do, or even others. Using a drone company, they are trying to participate in some event where using NAVIC capability, they want to demonstrate. The person took a 7,000 rupees card, fitted in his drone, and found for himself that with NAVIC he is able to get almost a meter accuracy, whereas with GPS he was not able to get that kind of accuracy. All that he achieved within a 1 day's trial. He bought the card, and then that card itself he can get for 1/10 of that cost, or 100 or much less than that. But the point what we are trying to say is, Atmanirbharta, when you are telling, see, you should make use of all the things that are accessible to you and build your systems around that. But at the same time, you should not allow your system to be, like you can say, dependent on them only. When need comes, you should not be actually depending only on that. That is the point that is there. Otherwise, definitely the kind of solution that NAVIC has provided. One more point I just wanted to tell, that today using NAVIC, a fisherman who does not know reading or writing is able to make use of the most advanced technology of the satellite being put into orbit, both communication and navigation, in his mobile, and that mobile not having any connectivity to the terrestrial towers. Moment he goes into the ocean, you know, no connectivity is there. But there is an app, and there is a small gadget which is fitted in the boat. The gadget interacts with NAVIC, and through that and the mobile app, he gets a video compass mode direction to where to go for fishing. And in his mother tongue, he gets information about any vagaries of weather and update on if he is crossing international boundaries. So anyway, that is one, and there is a huge amount of applications which Navik is bringing. But that apart, I think just now what discussion that has gone on, if you see, the real issue for us is any technology that is there, that technology, as long as you have easy access to that, you build solutions around that and make it happen. What ISRO demonstrated over last many decades is also that, see, those technologies which were accessible, we did not develop indigenously. We developed indigenously only those technologies which had a single source or had difficulty, etc. Again, because of cryogenic, etc. So same way now, if you are looking ahead, even what our friend was talking about for the data, whatever you're talking about, actually the whole process has been modified in such a way that if you want to take data, you can get that data without having to go through another authorization process, etc. But there will definitely be some requirements on security. That part of it will happen. But then today, based on the discussions, what we really need to see is, and again, another point what you are making is, we also need to change our mindset when we are in the business. See, today, much of your thought process is because of your experience of yesteryears. You are too much dependent on what government is going to give, what government order is there. You make it mandatory, make it this, give me this tax exemption, that. I mean, I'm just trying to tell in general, I'm not particular. See, we also need to change the way we are thinking. See, how did, for example, Elon Musk make a change? In America, they have spent for decades trillions of dollars in war-based industry, where the industry has developed all this. And at that base, when the returns on that is even few percent comes, it is acceptable. In India, where is such a system? You are expecting a situation which existed in America to be available here today, the moment it is starting, both because the government did not have the money to spend that kind of thing. But today the scenario is different. India is also trying to be a bigger player in the global scenario, but also what has happened with China, Ukraine war and all that. You see the whole process, even COVID scenario, things are changing. So all of us, we need to look at how we can make things happen. So like our friend was pointing out, if you can actually find solutions and reach the people and sell them, you should not be worrying about whether the particular government department give me this order or not. Now, that is a task. I'm not saying that it is easy. We need to look at both short term and long term. And another point I just wanted to make was, again, ISpA itself as an entity, when it is looking at, it is to deal with both problems what you are talking about, in terms of little long term, what has to happen, and in the short term, what has to happen. In definitely long term, like what he pointed out, today the whole business is coming into service. Even if I have a payload, I want a satellite as a service, there are people ready to do. I don't have to worry about building satellites, launching it, and putting ground station and all that. So how more and more things we can bring it into that service sector, where, like he points out, all that I am interested in mobile, I want a particular thing, I pay for that and take it. But there are service providers who will do those jobs. If a payload maker is a service provider, for example, pixel type of person, if he is interested only in hyperspectral imaging, if there is another company which can do the rest of the job for him, he is ready to pay him on a yearly basis and take. So what we need to see is how to build that ecosystem and how to move ahead. So we are all in this business. So pointing, and another thing is looking at government for everything, I think has to stop. That is a primary requirement for the business to grow and move.
Sir, I am not asking government to...
No, I appreciate. I understood your point, but what I'm trying to tell is that also is come much because of what we have been, experience we have gone through. So when the experience, as learning that experience, I have to go next step. That is the point. So thank you very much for all this.
I think if all the panelists are okay with, if you want to give any concluding remarks, or we can ask Dr. Kiran Kumar to conclude the session, sir.
Okay, I think this particular aspect of, for common man, what needs to be done is essentially the requirement which will be there all the time, both for technology developers, space technology per se when we are talking, how to use the space technology for the use in the common man. This is how things have been going on up to now. Like I said, the world has changed and moved so far ahead that we need to relook at everything, and then we cannot afford. And why did we reach this place today? It is not so much because of lack of capability. It is because, again, lack of resources. If I were to tell you that the money what ISRO has spent till today, even after accounting for all the value for money over the years spent, that sum is less than a fraction of 1 year's budget of advanced countries. So government's problem is the resources. When you are asking, you make it mandatory, every secretary has a problem. He is not able to generate that resource for doing. So that's where what we need to see is how can we make this money come out of private enterprise generating business through common people as service provision, and then take off the business. So that is a real challenge. So I am definitely agreeing with you that the problem is much bigger. Yeah.
In fact, sir, when this is basically planning and planning department's essential tool, sir. So just 1% of the budget can be allocated by the state government.
Yeah, no, again, I understand. I appreciate your point.
No, sir, I'll just give you a practical example, sir. Maharashtra has been one of the leading states, sir. I come from Nagpur, sir. MRSAC has done a huge monumental task. They have built, 3D map at maybe 2000 scale, sir, and it's all ready.
No, I appreciate. I'm not disputing. What here, you are entering into a domain where if somebody is sitting in a chair, you want to tell him you should be doing this. I'm just trying to explain. The problem is, until you sit in that chair, you are not aware of so many issues which is bothering you. So actually there are people who are occupying various chairs. Their intention also is to make things happen. But there are multiple limitations. Today the country is growing beyond that. It is actually improving. Today your economy is 6th. You are aiming to become 1st, etc. All of us should try and find ways of improving the thing. But it's always easy to point out, he should have done this or he should have done this. But it doesn't happen like that, is what I just wanted to convey. Sure, okay. So thank you very much. I think this session has been a very useful session in bringing out what has happened, and definitely everybody's aim is to make common man benefit from the technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that last and very important session on space for the common man. I request the chairperson of this session, Dr. Kiran Kumar, to please present mementos to the moderator and the speakers, the panelists. A memento to Mr. Rohan Verma, CEO, MapmyIndia. To Mr. Sudheer Kumar N, Director, CPBO, ISRO. To Dr. Vinod Kumar, Director, Promotion Directorate, in Space, Department of Space. To Mr. Sunil Indurati, Director, Azista BST Aerospace. To Mr. Dheeraj Mehra, Founder and CEO, Micronet Solutions, Airbus. To Mr. Rajesh Muneshwaran, Vice President, Space Technology, Dynaspede Enabletech Private Limited. And Dr. V.K. Rai, Scientist and Project Head, Department of Science and Technology. I request General Anil Bhatt, the Director General of ISpA, to please present a memento to the chairperson of this session, Dr. Kiran Kumar, former Chairman ISRO and Secretary, Department of Space. Thank you. Can I please request all of you to get together for a group photograph? Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now, before we conclude the Indian Space Conclave, concluding remarks from Wing Commander Satyam Khushwaha, retired Director of ISpA, followed by the proposal of the vote of thanks, and after which we shall all head for Haiti. Thank you.
A very good evening to all of you. It's been a pleasure listening to such spirited discussions, as well as the level of knowledge and wisdom that has flown in this hall today. I am sure it will remain unmatched for a long period of time. So before we end this session today, I would just like to say, make 4 points which you can carry with you and ponder upon as our concluding remarks. The first is, and the most important one, is that there is a lot of energy that the startups are bringing to the table, with passion, with innovation, and by putting all they have. And I think it's time that we all join hands to support them, and we request positive support from the government on that aspect. The second thing that I feel is that the great opportunities in making with the defense space sector, ISpA has been very closely working with MOD, and we look forward to some great announcements in coming days, which I'm sure would inspire our startups to deliver some cutting-edge technology which will challenge the global technology paradigms. The next most important aspect which I feel is the world is seeing a major revolution in terms of space-based internet, and this is going to touch us within about a year. And I think that is going to drive up a lot of innovation. My guru, Dr. Kiran Kumar sir, who has always been a source of inspiration to me, has been talking a lot about common man for many years now. And I think that with space-based connectivity reaching to the remote areas, where the benefits of broadband and digital technology and digital enablement of citizens has not reached so far, would get benefited with this capability coming in. And I think that is where a lot of progress will be made. I think that India's demographic bulge that we call can be converted into the opportunity by engaging the young minds with space-based technology. And I think that is where the real innovation is going to happen in times to come. And this is in alignment with the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of having this century as India's century. And I feel that space is going to be a major enabler in this dimension. In the end, I would like to thank all of you for sparing your valuable time. We thank our dignitaries, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Mr. Somnath, for having spared the time and having blessed us with their esteemed presence and sharing their pearls of wisdom, which I'm sure will inspire us. We thank our partners EY for helping us coming out with a very interesting document, which I'm sure when you go back, please read it and give us your feedback. And I'm sure you're going to find it very, very interesting. We thank all our founder members, our sponsors, and all our members for having supported us in putting in such a splendid show. I've been getting fantastic feedbacks, and it has only been possible because of the leadership of our DG and the support of the entire ISpA family, Thank you to all of you for that. We also thank our chairpersons, our moderators and panelists for giving us so much of wisdom. I hope that we really are able to process this and convert it into actionables so that we contribute to strengthening this ecosystem in a much more meaningful manner. Above all, we also thank Manak Shaw Center for having given us such an inspiring venue. I think that was the best compliments we've been getting since morning, because this place is so full of history. And to the catering staff who has really ensured sumptuous food, and I could make out sleepy eyes immediately in the post-lunch session. So I think they've been very effective in that. And above all, our exhibition partners and the volunteers. And before I end this, I must tell you that ISpA family is a very small but a very spirited family, and my colleagues who have actually been putting huge amount of working hours to just make it happen in the very short span of time. I think it's a fabulous team and we are proud of them. Thank you so much.